G'day guys, this is part two of organizing your nutrition. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through how I organize my nutrition, um, creating the plan, doing the shopping, actually, putting everything into my fitness pal. I'm going to show you step by step how I do it. So essentially using all the content that you've just learned in the previous video to put it into practice and actually make a sustainable meal plan. So essentially in this Word document, I've just written down the 7 steps and gone through each step to create my plan. And then in the next video, it'll be me in the kitchen actually doing a meal prep from the meal plan that I've created and the shopping that I've ordered. So without further ado, let's get into it. So step one, obviously, just before we get started, I'm in a build phase right now. So I'm in a muscle building phase. I'm eating a lot of calories. So I know quite a few of you are actually in the opposite phase. You're in a weight loss phase. So the portion sizes and the meals that I'm going to be showing you are probably going to be a lot more than what you're eating. But the same principles apply with how to organize your meals, your meal plan and whatnot. So I will say that I'm at the moment on about 3,500 calories per day, but you might be close to half of that. So but as I said, the same principles apply. So I'm in a build phase at the moment. So step one, I've got to create my meal plan. And to do that, essentially what I've done is I've gone on to the Woods Brothers Coaching. I've used the Woods Brothers Coaching menu, which is in the Vault on the app, in the content library. You can go onto that and see all of our best of meals, which is a super valuable resource. So I've used that to help me come up with these ideas of what I want to eat, but also I've gotten some recipes from online as well. Which is perfectly fine as well. What I've looked for when I've created my main meals here is meals that are easy, meals that are high protein, meals that I can just whip up really quick, and that I generally enjoy eating as well. So in a build phase, I want to be eating sort of at least 3 to 4 meals. In a dieting phase, it might be more like 2 to 3 meals. But I've decided 4 meals is a nice amount of meals for me. And I've decided that my 4 meals will be a breakfast wrap, which is one that I have sort of in the morning. My cream of rice, which is like a very high carb, high protein meal that I'll have pre-training, so usually about an hour out from training. I have my bolognese chicken pasta, which is sort of like it can be pre and also post training. Just good carbs and protein, and then my beef burrito bowl, which I have every night for dinner, which is just a delicious and healthy sort of whole food source of protein and carbs as well. Perfect for the phase that I'm in, and would be perfect for any phase. Obviously, just depending on the portion size, but it's just a great meal, the good old burrito bowl, and I enjoy it, and that's the main thing. With the actual meals here, it doesn't really matter what they are, as long as you're not having macas and whatnot, as long as they're generally whole food based meals. The main thing is that you enjoy eating them and that they are suited towards your portion sizes. So the amount of calories that you're on, the amount of protein that you're eating. But generally this stage is just about picking meals that you enjoy to eat, and that are as easy as you want them to be. So I've picked that. I've also picked my snacks as well to go with it. So I've chosen an apple, a kiwi for just some extra carbs and micronutrients, and fiber as well. And I just enjoy eating fruit. Fish oils as well, they have calories in it. I know they're a supplement, and it's not a lot of calories, but I still put it in. Full cream milk that I put in my coffee every morning. And also vanilla rice pudding as well, which is a high carb snack that I have around my workouts and also at night before bed as well, as a bit of a dessert. So that is my current meal plan in my current phase. You might not have things like rice pudding or like 2 pieces of fruit or whatever. It's sort of just depending on a lot of things, depending on what you can actually fit into your calories. what you enjoy eating. Do you enjoy having dessert? Would you rather spend those calories on things like fruit, or your snacks really are just sort of on top of your meal plan. And I do recommend having snacks in the diet as well. But the main thing obviously is that you're sticking to your calories and your macro levels. Um, cool. So that is pretty much step one done. So I've created I've decided all of my meals. I've decided that I like to prep from Monday to Saturday, so I'll make 6 of every one of these meals, and have times 6 apples, times 6 kiwis, times 6 vanilla rice puddings, portions for the week, and that's great for me. And the reason I leave Sunday out is because usually on the weekend I'll have some social events here and there. So the meals, the day of meals that I've got planned on Saturday are usually split between Saturday and Sunday, because I might have something happening on Saturday night. So I take my Saturday night dinner and I can just put it on lunch for Sunday, for example, or vice versa. So I can sort of take my Saturday 4 meals and sort of split them across Saturday and Sunday, and then sort of fill in the gaps where I need to fill in the gaps. So during the week, is like tracking on MyFitnessPal is pretty easy for me, because I'm just going, just the same stuff from Monday to Friday. The weekend, I sort of have to actively track a little bit more, just because I like that little bit of extra flexibility on the weekend. And you can have that flexibility on the weekend as well, as long as you are still sticking to your calorie and macro goals. You can tinker this meal plan as well when you do step 2, which is the portion size step, because you might find that you actually don't have enough calories to fit the apple in. So maybe you just have the kiwi, or you might find that you just don't have enough calories to fit in rice pudding. Or you can sort of tinker things as you go. Maybe maybe you decide that you do want to change the meal plan or whatever, but you can tinker this one sort of through step 2 as well. But this is like a really good basis to like you deciding what you want to eat, essentially. So yeah, this is your base plan. You can alter this through the week, as if there are changes, just like I was saying. If you've got a client lunch or something on Wednesday, you can take that meal out, and replace it with whatever you're eating, and then you can have that meal maybe later in the week, maybe on Sunday or whatever. So you can alter through the week. Make sure you're tracking every day, so that on the days when you aren't sticking to the plan 100%, you can just sort of tinker things around so that you're still sticking to your goals, your macro and calorie goals. So step 2 is the portion sizes. So I've decided my meals. My calorie goal, as I said, I'm in a build phase, so I'm eating a lot of food right now, is 3,500, 3,600. So in that range. So this is essentially all of my meals logged in MyFitnessPal. All right. So as you can see here, there's my breakfast wrap. That's all I've logged. I've even logged the oil as well. That's in cooking the eggs. Make sure you are logging oils and how much oil you are using. So I cook all of the eggs in one saucepan. So I'm cooking 18 eggs in one saucepan. So that's 2 times 6. So I'm using 12 grams of olive oil usually. My cream of rice as well. That's logged. The bolognese chicken pasta, that's logged, and the burrito bowl as well. That's how that's logged. And my extras and snacks as well, I put down here. That's how that's sort of logged. Okay. So yeah, and I will just point out a couple of things. When you do log these ones in, make sure you're getting the right brands. It's not just generally like a wrap. It's a Mission Wrap Light. It's a like a bacon shortcut, the Woolies brand shortcut bacon, because some other Primo brand shortcut bacon is going to be different. It's going to be a slightly different cut. It's going to be slightly different macros and calories to the Woolies brand. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right brands for each of these. Mackenzie's rice flour, bulk nutrients, whey protein powder. Like I've gotten all the brands right here, and you can do that through scanning the barcodes of the items, which is one way you can get the right brands. But what you can also do is just search it up on MyFitnessPal. Search up, let's say you're having your rice flour, Mackenzie's, and essentially you look up online on the Woolies website or on the Coles website or whatever, that particular item. It'll tell you the nutrition on that item, and then you just check the one on MyFitnessPal and you just make sure they're the same, and then you can log it. And if they're not the same, you can actually add a new one in, if the accurate one hasn't been added to MyFitnessPal yet. But yeah, just make sure you're getting the right brands, and basically just logging all of the portion sizes in, the portion sizes that you need to hit the amount of calories that you want to hit, and meal by meal, the portion sizes don't matter too much, but it's just the collective amount of calories that it all adds up to, which is 3,580 with 222 grams of protein. That's what matters to me. And if I do all, I write everything up and the numbers aren't right, then I go back, I tinker, and I make sure I can get it in that range that I need to get it into for wherever my calories and macros are at any given point. So that's essentially how you would log everything into MyFitnessPal to make sure it suits your current calorie and macro goals, your meal plan that you've decided. And then from there, just like I said before, to find the specific foods and brands on MyFitnessPal, what you do is, you search it up. You can look on the the Woolies website. If you're using Woolies, for example, this is me finding the right, jasmine rice, Woolies brand jasmine rice, and I can search that up on MyFitnessPal. Just type it in, Woolies brand jasmine rice, and that one's going to come up, and I can make sure that it's the same as this one, and then I can make sure that that's the right one, because you'll probably most likely, for example, you'll search up Woolies jasmine rice, and there'll be like 10 Woolies jasmine rices, and they're not all the same, because people have just logged random shit, so you're essentially just making sure that it's accurate with the actual product. So yeah, it's just a little bit of cross-checking, and I will come back to the specific portion sizes in a second, for another point. But step 3 is, once you've got the portion sizes all good on MyFitnessPal, essentially put them on your order. So I have a Woolies subscription for online, so they just deliver to my door. So all I have to do is just go and put the products into the Woolies app, and then I can order it from there. So here's me putting in all of the items on my meal plan into the amounts that I need them. And yeah, you can see I got my wraps, and I got my eggs and my cheese and whatnot. And some of these items will be, for 1 week, but others might be for 2 weeks, if that makes sense. So for example, the mixed frozen vegetables that I've got in my chicken bolognese pasta, that's actually for 2 weeks. I'll defrost half of it and put it in, and then I'll use the other half in the next week of prep. Just because, it's a bigger bag, and it's sort of cheaper to do it that way. It's more that sort of bulk buy solution. And same as the cheese, for example, I use one half of the cheese 1 week, and then I use one half the cheese next week. So I don't have to keep ordering every week. I only have to order it once every 2 weeks. For other items like the pasta, I just order one of those per week. For items like the spinach, I order one of those per week. For items like the salsa, order one of those per week. Whereas other items, we'll order, once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks. You might have sort of awkward ones like the jasmine rice, where I've got 100 grams in my diet, but it's 1 kilo, so that's 600 grams for 6 meals. So I've got 400 grams left over, but that's not enough for the next week. So I'll need to order again and then sort of weigh it out. So for those ones that aren't perfectly sort of, once every week or once every 2 weeks, you'll just need to make sure you weigh it out, and sort of order when you need to order it. And I'll sort of come back to that point in a second. So just looking at the pricing here. So this is me ordering at Woolies. So I've just got a little point here about the actual prices. So for these, I've paid $139 for 24 meals. All right, so 4 meals times 6. Which averages around $4.50 per meal. That's pretty bloody good. and $3 in snacks as well if you add those snacks in. So it's $21 per day is what I'm paying. And that's for a bulking meal plan as well. So it just goes to show that if you are organized, you organize your nutrition properly, not only are you saving so much time, but you're also saving so much money as well. Compared to just eating out every day. You could easily spend $21 in one meal. But that's, for a whole day of eating, like a lot of food as well. Especially if considering this is a bulking plan. And yeah, that's pretty good considering how expensive food is now, eating out, and especially meat and protein things when you're eating out. Like you're eating something with meat in it, it's like really expensive. Um, but even let's say you're listening to this and you're, on a weight loss diet, um, you know, you take my calories, which is 3,600, right? And you divide it by two. So you might be on something like 1,800 calories, which would basically mean the price is halved. So that would pretty much mean that you're spending $10 per day on your meal plan. Like that's incredible. That you can spend $10 a day, on a dieting meal plan. Using these organizational strategies. So it just goes to show how cheap meal prepping can be, especially, considering you can easily go out on a Saturday night and, spend $100 in one sitting, having dinner, a couple of drinks, easily. So, yeah, these strategies are just awesome for saving time, saving money. So one extra tip. So this is that extra tip that I was sort of half mentioning above. I like to base a lot of my portion sizes, and I didn't sort of know where to put this in the 7 steps, but it is a sort of big point. I like to base a lot of my portion sizes of the individual grocery items, basically on how much I can get in that one item, and it prevents like carryovers, if that makes sense. So let me just give you an example because I think it sounds a bit complicated, but let me just take my shell. I won't do that one, but let me just take um, the the rice flour, for example. All right. So Mackenzie's rice flour, the reason it's 62.5 grams is not because, I've gone in here and I've needed to change that to 62.5 for it to perfectly be the right amount. The reason I've done 62.5 grams on the rice flour, and it's the same for a lot of things on here, is because the amount that I can get on the Woolies app, for that exact Mackenzie's rice flour is 375 grams. That's the only size they have. They don't have a larger one. They don't have a smaller one. That's the only size they have. So I've taken that and I've divided it into 6, and that equals 62.5. So that's how I've worked out the right portion size so that I haven't got, for example, 50 grams of rice flour. And then not only do I have to pour it out and weigh it out, but I also have like a layover to the next week. I have what's the word? I have a like extra for next week, and then I've got to take that and put that in, and then put a little bit of the new one in, and then I've got to carry it over to the next week. So what that does is it just means you have to order one per week. You don't even have to weigh it out. You just put it in the bowl and then evenly divide it amongst your containers. So that makes things easier as well. That's just an extra super good tip that I've used. Let me take the corn kernels for example as well. And I'll also take the beans as well, the black beans here. So it's a 420 grams that one, 420 grams that one. If you look back up here, the reason I put 70 grams in there is because I've just gone 420 divided by 6, and then bang, it's 70 grams. So that's why I haven't got 50 grams or 100 grams of beans, because it's just that can perfectly divided into 6. So that when I'm making the rice, I put the beans and the corn in my rice for my burrito bowl. I just, I put the rice in, I just put a whole can in of each, mix it around, don't have to weigh it or anything. And then I just get a new can the next week of each of them. So I try to do that as much as I can here and there. The light sour cream, and the cheese and the jazz and the light sour cream, the cheese, and the snap frozen veggies. those are ones that I'd still do it, but what I'll do is I'll get the let's say for the snap frozen veggies, I'll get a kilo of that and I'll just use it over 2 weeks. So I'll use 500 grams one week, and then put that in, and then I'll use 500 grams the next week. So that same process, except you're just using it every 2 weeks rather than using it one every week. Same thing as the Legos pasta sauce. It's the reason that's 86 is because that's 500 grams of the what's in the jar divided by 6. I think you get the point by now. So that's just an extra tip that I use, just so there's sort of less of that weighing that you have to do, and also, it makes it a lot easier, because if you're just coming up with random amounts, you sort of got to check every week. Do I have a little bit of that left over? Do I have a little bit of that left over? Do I have enough of this? You can just order one every week, and it just makes it super, super easy. So that's another layer on top of it that I've decided to do to make it quicker and more efficient, and just works out a lot better. So if you look back at, if you reverse this video or you look back at these amounts, you'll find that a lot of them are like portion adjusted to the amounts that I can get for each of these items in the shopping. Even the mince, even the chicken, even the spinach, the cheese, the eggs, the pasta, all that stuff is the same. So yeah, that makes things a lot easier. Step 4, so ordering the shopping. So I essentially just go and order the shopping. I've put it all down, worked out all the portion sizes. I've got all my I've already got my glass meal prep containers from Kmart, so I'm all sorted. But you can go and get containers if you need to get containers from either the Woolies shopping, or you can go to Kmart and get containers from there. I originally had plastic containers, and I'd use plastic containers very often. And I think in the previous video, in part 1, I did mention the one that I use is like this essentials plastic containers from Woolies. But I've sort of, because I microwave the containers and stuff, I don't like to microwave plastic. So I just decided to swap to using glass meal prep. I had to, invest. I think it was around $100 or $50 to $100 in getting a set of glass containers, and from Kmart. But it just means that the food that I'm microwaving is safe to eat, and I'm not consuming any sort of harmful chemicals from the plastics. So I'd recommend getting glass meal prep containers if you haven't got meal prep containers already, or just like solid plastic ones, not the sort of flimsy, shitty plastics. So yeah, so don't do the next step until you've gotten your shopping, as you might make changes to the brands if they've changed it. So essentially, when you put your shopping in, you'll order it, they'll deliver it to your door. Sometimes they make changes, at the last second, and you've made your whole meal plan, and then you've got to sort of change it again. So just beware that when you make the meals in MyFitnessPal, that maybe just wait until they order it, and then make any changes that you need to make. Maybe they've given you a different type of bacon, so you've got to take that bacon, put it in, and then make the meal, rather than making the meal and then having to go in and edit and change it out depending on what they've replaced it with. Because if they don't have the right bacon, they're just going to replace it with another type of bacon, if that makes sense. So just stops you going and making all your meals ready to go, and then you get the order and there's all these changes, and fuck, I've got to make another one. So so yeah, make the meals in MyFitnessPal after they've delivered the shopping to your door, and you've made sure that they've given you all the right brands, and they haven't forgotten anything. So you can make last minute changes to your meal plan, or use the copy function. So I know in the previous video I was talking about making meals, and meals are in MyFitnessPal make things so much easier, and they do, and they're really, really good. But recently I've actually discovered a cooler function on MyFitnessPal where you can easily copy days, essentially, rather than going into one day and just putting all the meals in. What you can do, and I'll show you this copy function now, is or what I'll do is I'll make one of these days, like the photos that I showed you above. I'll make one of these days on Monday of that given week that I'm making my meal plan for, and then what you can do is for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you can essentially go edit in the top corner. You press that button and you press select all like that. And then you press copy down the bottom. There was the copy button there. I'll just show you again. So copy button, and then you just go tomorrow. So let's say it's Tuesday. You go tomorrow, and then you can just press tick, and then it's just going to copy the entire day. It's going to copy the entire. Hang on a minute. Give me 2 seconds. So yeah, it's going to copy that entire day to Tuesday. So you've got it on Monday, and you've got it on Tuesday as well. And you can copy Tuesday to Wednesday, copy Wednesday to Thursday. So every day when you're working out, you're logging all of your MyFitnessPal, everything on MyFitnessPal. You can just copy over the previous day. And that also allows you to make changes if you need to make changes. All right. So like, let's say you get to Wednesday, you copy over the previous day, but then you realize you've got client lunch, so you take out your lunch meal and then you replace it with what you have in the client lunch. Make some changes maybe to your snacks and your dinners to make sure that the calories and macros still line up with your goals. And then you can take that meal and put it on Sunday or whatever. So you can make adjustments as you go. So that's a great function, the copy function. So that's sort of the way I do it now is when I do step one, I'll put it on Monday. I'll make the meal plan. I'll work it out and make sure my calories and macros are right on. And then I'll order it on the shopping, and then I'll just copy it every day. And then, if there's small changes that I need to make, usually Monday to Friday, it's pretty much the same, nothing changes. And then it's usually Saturday and Sunday where I'll copy it to that day, and then I'll need to sort of change it around depending on, like anything that might be going on that I have to change my meal plan for. So that's why MyFitnessPal is great for, meal prepping and consistently eating the same thing every day, but also allows you that flexibility on certain days when you're not sticking to your meal plan to make those adjustments and still stick to what's really important, which is sticking to your calories and your macros. That's the really important thing, not sticking to the meal plan. The meal plan is only just going to make it easier for you and give you something consistent to stick to. So yeah, once you have made sure that the supermarket has given you all the foods and brands you've ordered, you can make the swap outs to that base meal plan. So that happens to me pretty much every week. Is I'll make a plan on Monday, and I'll go and order it, and then they'll change something in the order. They'll give me the wrong rice, or they'll give me the wrong bacon, or they'll give me chicken thighs instead of chicken breast, or they'll give me full fat beef instead of the lean beef. So I've got to go in, I've got to put that one in to the meal plan, and then change something else to make sure that the total portion size, the total calories for the day, and the total protein for the day is still what I want it to be. So those last adjustments to your meal plan will happen once you've actually gotten your food, and you've gotten all the brands and the actual specific foods that you want. And so that's essentially it. That's how I plan everything. The third video, which is going to be part 3, which is kind of an extension of part 2, is going to be me in the kitchen just doing a meal prep, and that shouldn't take too long. It'll sort of just be me with probably just all the food in front of me and just talking about a few things that I do, and then probably just like a time lapse of me sort of doing all of my meals or whatnot. So yeah, that is to come in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a lot out of it. I know I went really into depth and detail, but once you have mastered this skill, once you have learned how to properly organize your nutrition, you can just put your nutrition on autopilot. You're spending the least amount of time, energy, worry on it, and you can just have the most efficient way of doing it that suits your goals really well. So yeah, hope this helped, and I'll catch you guys in part 3. Cheers.